Okay, on just the basics, I wanted to point out what the interface is like for Revit. I'm going to point out in the interface for you a few items so that it can be a lot easier when you are doing your drawing. One of the first things I want to point out is this item up top here. This is called the Quick Access Toolbar, and it's just that a lot of your more common commands that you're going to perform on a regular basis inside of a drawing are located up here. You actually have the ability to change this as much as you want. And you can even change the order that things are shown, how many items are on there, so on and so forth. So you just click this over here and go to customize. Below that is essentially the ribbon or the tool ribbon, and inside of here, there's your main functions inside of Revit. There's a tab for each individual system and a few other items. So you have architecture, structure, steel, systems, insert, annotate, analyze, massing and site, collaborate, view, manage. There can be some add-ins. I actually have something added into mine, which is the BIM interoperability tool and modify. So these may look a little different once you get down here. This is also something that you can, once again, edit if you need to. Besides that, inside of the file menu itself, you have a few items. We also like to call this application menu, just so you know. And this is where you'll find your new, open, save, your options bar, and whatever else that you've been working on. On my particular interface, and also one other thing I want to point out is this bar down here where my mouse is. And you may say, well, that's nothing. Well, actually it is something. It's called the Design Options Toolbar. And it only shows up when you're actually going to draw something. So I've clicked on it and I'm just going to show. Oh, all of a sudden, this will now fill up with options. And let's see here. And it all depends on what tool you click on because it is contextual. I just clicked on ceiling and there's nothing here. But if I were to go to, say, maybe wall or something like that, you'll notice that all of these items come up. How high is the wall going? How are we placing the wall? So on and so forth. So that's your design options toolbar. Just to kind of make things a little bit more interest or easier for you to use, I just hit escape twice. Just keep in mind, anytime you want to try to make some type of edits or modify something or do something to a drawing, modify down at the end is probably what you're going to be looking for. So just keep that in mind. It's down there. It used to be contextual, meaning it only showed up when you clicked on something. They since changed it, docked it down here at the end. So it's there for you to use now. In my interface, I've set up some things a little different. I'm going to point out this area here to the left. This is called the project browser. This may be in different locations depending on how you set up your workspace. It could be where you maybe have your properties box and your project browser in the same location. They may be stacked one on top of the other, or they may be vice versa, where the project browser is on the other side and the properties box is on this side. It all just depends on how you like to work in your project. Inside of the project browser is everything that you'll ever see for the project or use for the project, i.e. floor plans, ceiling plans, elevations, schedules, legends, renderings, 3D images, ceiling plans. I think I mentioned that one already. Any and everything that you can look at some point becomes a view, and it now lives over here inside the project browser. On my drawing, this space right here in the middle, of course, is the drawing space. That's where you do all your modeling. Inside of the drawing space, down at the bottom, is the view control bar, and this is actually specific to the view that you're in. So this will change over time depending on the view that you have open. Inside of here, you can modify or set certain items such as the scale of the drawing, the detail level of the drawing, how the drawing shows. You could turn shadows on, turn shadows off, show anything that may be hidden underneath. So it controls essentially what you are viewing. Over here on the right-hand side, at least in my interface, I have my properties box, and I like to split these two just simply because there's a lot of information that shows in this box, and there's a lot of information that shows in the project browser. And when you stack them on top of each other, it gets hard to see everything, and then you may miss some information that you're trying to put in. So I like to split them. I don't like to put them right next to each other because then I feel like this gets crowded. I know it's the same amount of space, and sometimes I like to have them one over here, and then I can focus more on the center. Now to go back to this, like I said, this is the properties box. One other item that you'll probably hear me say a lot is the type selector, and that's this very top box up here. Anything and everything that is modeled inside of Revit, or even the views themselves, have a type to them. So if you want to ever make selections to them, you would click this box up top, and this is where you would go to change anything that you're trying to modify. Down at the bottom in the center space here is what's called the design options. It's different than the design options toolbar. Those are two separate things. Design options is essentially where you're maybe wanting to give a client or show off 3 different schematics or designs to a project, and you don't want to do 3 separate projects or files, so you can put them all and show them all in one file, and then go in, select them to be used later on in the design later. And if you go to any of my design options videos, you'll see how these work. Last but not least, is up top is the communications center for Revit. It not only is the help up here, but if you are logged in, you can log in and have an account with Autodesk. Any communications that they need to send to you will show up in this space up top. Any new RS feeds, so on and so forth. So that's the interface in a nutshell. I want you to get used to using or knowing these terms because you'll see me use them a lot when I'm trying to describe or explain something or how to do something. Thank you.